Hari Om everybody. Today we're going to be contemplating on Gita Shloka 2.45. Before I start, can I have a volunteer to chant the shloka with me? Okay, Tej is awesome. I'll tell one line and you can repeat after me. Is that fine?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Actually, wait. Could you just do at least like 1 or 2 words, because I have a problem with the whole.
Sorry, yeah. My one line I meant like a few words. Yeah, I'll do a few words and you can repeat. Okay. Sit straight, close your eyes, and slowly chant after me. Trai-guṇya-viṣhayā
Trai-guṇya-viṣhayā
vedā nistrai-guṇyo
nistrai-guṇyo
bhavārjuna
bhavārjuna
nirdvandvo
nirdvandvo
nitya-sattva-stho
nitya-sattva-stho
niryoga-kṣhema ātma-vān.
niryoga-kṣhema ātma-vān.
Awesome. I'll tell it another time and you can repeat. Children-5Jun2023 vedā
Children-5Jun2023
nistrai-guṇyo bhavārjuna
nistrai-guṇyo-bhavārjuna
nirdvandvo nitya-sattva-stho
nirdvandvo nitya-sattva-stho
niryoga-kṣhema ātmavān.
niryoga-kṣhema ātmavān.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tejas. You can go back on mute. Okay. So what does this shloka mean? What is Krishna telling us in this shloka? Okay, before I go into that, let me just narrate a small story. Long ago, there were two frogs. They were the best of friends. You know, everyone have their best friends from childhood, right? So these two frogs were like very, very good friends. They did everything together. They would read together. They would go cycling together, and they would go croaking together. You know, have you heard frogs in the middle of the night? They go croak, 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 croak. All night they would do this together. And then in the day, they would go near ponds and they would catch small flies. And they would do everything together. They would have fun. They would work. They would do everything together. And as these two were living, what they were doing their daily things, one day they went into someone's house. And when you go into someone else's house, you know they're getting into trouble. So they were going there, and by mistake, both of them slipped into a big, big pot of buttermilk. And you know buttermilk, right? It's basically very liquidy, and you can't. And if something falls in there, it's hard to get out. So when these two frogs fell in there, they were in big trouble. They kept swimming around. They didn't know what to do because they're stuck in this big pot and they're at the bottom. All they can do is swim. So these two guys were swimming, and they could not even get out of the buttermilk. And the friend of the frog was losing all his energy, and he was getting very, very tired after a while. And he said to his friend, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to stop now, because he was so exhausted, and he was just so miserable because he lost all his energy and he was giving up. So he stopped swimming and eventually he sunk to the bottom and he suffocated. His friend was very sad. He saw his friend dying in front of him, but he thought, I can't give up just like that. If I can get in, I can easily get out of this pool of buttermilk. So he kept swimming and swimming and swimming. And eventually, without even knowing, he churned a big, big block of butter. So you can see in this picture, that big block of butter kept him afloat. And like that, on top of this big block of butter, he jumped out of the pot, and that way he could live, and he didn't face the same fate as his friend. So this is what this shloka is telling us about. Nistrai-guṇya-viṣhayā Vedā. The Vedas deal with three modes of material nature. So when we look at this story, it's a metaphor for this shloka. So material nature represents the buttermilk around us. So it's a nistrai-guṇyo bhavārjuna, rise above the three modes to a state of pure spiritual consciousness. So like how our frog friend rose above this buttermilk and churned the butter, and we similarly should churn the buttermilk around us, even though we don't realize we are in this buttermilk. We should churn and we should rise above it. So what does pure spiritual consciousness mean really? It basically means the basic message of Gita. I am not the body, I am not the mind. This is what spiritual consciousness means. So when we realize this, we churn the buttermilk around us and we create the butter, and we can rise above this. So this is what the shloka is telling: nirdvandvo, nitya-sattva-stho, freeing yourself from dualities, freeing yourself from the buttermilk. The same, I'm giving an example. So freeing yourself from this buttermilk, you can go out of this buttermilk around us, and you can get out and you can be free from dualities and free from sorrow and all these emotions. Niryoga-kṣhema, ātma-vān, without concern for material gain. So the frog that churned the buttermilk, he wasn't worried about whether I'm going to drown or whether I'm going to rise above or whatever. He just kept swimming. Similarly, we should also keep following this truth and knowing and being aware of it. And that's when we can rise above this and we can be eternally happy and attain our true nature. So this is what the shloka is telling us about. Does anyone have any questions before we go into sharing our understandings? Okay, looks like no one has questions. Anyone wants to share their understanding? Vidisha.
Yeah, so what I understood is that we don't like how the first frog, he just gave up and he just drowned and he died. But the second
Yeah.
one, he did not lose hope, and
Yeah.
he did not know what will be the outcome. But he just kept on swimming. So then finally, he did not know what's the outcome, but the outcome came, which was very helpful for him. So like that only, you should not give up. Even if you don't know how to come out of the problem, just keep on doing what you think is right, and then you will come out of the problem.
Exactly. That's so true. Thank you, Vidisha. That's really nice. Tejas?
Yes. Similar to what Vidisha said, the
Yeah.
one frog died because it just gave up. The other one kept trying. Now I have a similar example to this. So one guy was playing chess with another guy, and eventually he knew that he was down material, so he resigned the game. But when later on, when he came to analyze the game, he actually did not see that it was a mate in two. So he just gave up, losing the opportunity to win.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's my example.
That is really nice, Tejas. Thank you. Yashita, would you like to share?
Yes, the frog actually sacrificed himself to save his friend because they were so close. So they were team, so they didn't give up. They didn't give up hope. So he never knew what was going to happen. He never thought of himself before, but he just went in and went to save his friend.
Oh, more than sacrifice, the first frog gave up, and that's the metaphor for when we are lost in the materialistic world, and instead the second frog rose above it. That's a metaphor for how when we realize our true meaning. So it wasn't exactly teamwork. That was an example of how the first frog gave up. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That was really nice. Snigdha, would you like to share?
I actually remember like the same similar.
Sorry, I can't hear you so clearly.
Yeah, now can you hear?
Yeah.
So I remember like last year I heard the same story, but in a different But there were frogs. So, like, can I just share that story?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So it was like they were also spending time.
Snigdha, really sorry, but your voice is not at all clear, Amma.
Okay, I'll talk a little bit slowly.
Okay.
Okay, so there were two frogs. They also used to spend time together. And one day, got trapped in a well. And
Sorry, Snigdha, it's still not clear.
just give me a second.
Oh, can we move on to Shreyas and we can come back to you? Okay, Shreyas, can you share what you understood?
Yes. See, means there were two frogs, right? So the first one gave up because he thought, I can't do it. It's my end. I can't do it anymore. So he left it and he died. But the other one thought, I can live more. I can do something more. I can do
Yeah.
something more new. So he tried. He thought what to do. He thought what is right and what is not. He what he thought is right, he did that. He swam, and somehow he made a hill kind of thing, and he jumped out. So the first frog gave up, but the other didn't, and the second thought he can do something more new in his life.
Yeah. That's really nice, Shreyas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else left? That's it,
Can
right?
you hear? Can
Yeah,
you
I can
hear
hear-
me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so what I was saying that I narrated this story actually last year. So it was like in like there were two frogs, but it was in like a different way. So those two frogs were also best friends. And one day they got stuck in a well, and it was really tall. The well was really big and it was really tall, so it was impossible for them to like go up. Like, so the first friend, he tried a lot, but then he eventually gave up because he was really tired and he couldn't like climb. He told his best friend that no, we can't live. There's no chance of living because we can't climb this well. It's way too tall for us. But then, so that he didn't wanted to see his like friend dying, so he decided to like not give up, and then he eventually like managed to climb the well. So that was the similar story. So it was
Yeah.
like very like similar to the story you just told.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So could you share what did you understand from the shloka or the story?
From the story, I understood that you should not give up, and you should focus on the future. You should like be like, if I give up now, I may die. So I should not do that. If I don't give up, then I can lead a better future. Like I can do something. I can lead a better future. I don't need to give up. So yeah. So the moral of the story is not to give up.
More than focus on future, be in the present and take it one step at a time from now, and then rise above whatever problems you have.
Okay.
Is that yeah? That's all I need to clarify. I think everyone's done, right?
Can I add some points, Aditya?
Yeah.
See here, the shloka says, Vedas deal with the three modes. Trai-guṇya-viṣhayā Veda. What are the three modes? When you notice anything around us, including your own body, they are made up of three qualities. What are the three qualities? Rajo, Tamo, and Sattva. Tamo guna means darkness, laziness. Rajo guna means lot of activity. Sattva guna means peaceful nature. As an example, chili. Chili, if let's say you take a very hot chili, like a spicy chili, and let's say if you put it on a small open cut wound, how will it be? very burning, isn't it? Why? That is the nature of the chili. It is very rajasic. Whereas, say for example, cucumber. Cucumber is cool, very sattvic, very peaceful. And something like, let's say for example, marriage food. Okay, you all like marriage food, no? When you go to marriage and you eat a lot of marriage food, then how do you feel like soon after that? You want to go and do what? Sleep, isn't it? So that is example for tamasic. So like that, when you notice anything around you, they show these three kinds of qualities. Things show these three qualities, either laziness and dullness, or lot of activity, or very peaceful. Even the mind, when you notice, some people are peaceful by nature. Some people are very lazy by nature. Some people are very active. So what Shri Krishna is also saying here is, realize that that is the three qualities of things around you. But like Aditya said, like how that frog churned the buttermilk and could create the mound of butter and could stand on top of it and escape. Realize that your true nature is above all these three. Why? Because like Aditya said, you're not a thing. Your true nature, your true self is not a thing. Anything has these three qualities, gunas. Tamo guna, rajo guna, sattva guna. But you are the divine light of the self. And you are not a thing. So realize that and rise above. In any situation, rise above the situation. Like how Aditya's story narrated. Is the point I made clear? Are there any questions? All right. Thank you, Aditya. All right. So if the shloka is done, then we will stop the contemplation of the shloka.